Hey there, everybody, and welcome to Whippersnapper Gaming, where we aim to discuss all things gaming. Today, we're going to be discussing Watchdogs Legion, the first big Ubisoft game since all of their bosses were kicked out for allegedly being despicable human beings, as well as the embarrassment that was Ghost Recon Breakpoint. So, I was going into this expecting a bit of a departure from the normal Ubisoft open world style of game we've seen over the past 10 years. However, it doesn't look like Ubisoft learned a whole bunch. But we'll get back to that a little bit later on in the video. But first, let's talk about Watch Dogs' story. So, Watch Dogs takes place in London, probably 10 years from now, after a terrorist attack by a mysterious hacker called Zero Day. They're the main antagonist of the game. This sends this futuristic London into a wide spiral of fascism, protesting, and racial persecution. It's like a mix of Brexit and England with a hint of US politics of late, where you play as DedSec, a group of white hacktivists who must grow in size to gain the trust of the public while battling a PMC, gangs, police, and Zero Day. Now, as a result of their new Recruit Anyone system that the developers have implemented into Watchdogs, you can just walk down the street, see someone, think they look cool, look them up, figure out their skills, and then ask them to join DedSec. There's no main protagonist, as you can pretty much swap at any time from one of another operative to another with different skills. None of the groups have any real background as well, or any real depth to connect them to. The dialogue may change depending on your recruit's background, whether they're a Cockney football hooligan, a Jamaican cop, or a posh old lady. That's about it. There's no backstory behind them beyond the online profile you find for them, which basically will tell you their job, a tiny little tidbit about them, like likes anime, and their skills. Now, this, although is pretty damn cool, I have to stress that this is really cool, this system. We will talk about it a bit more, but it's really cool. And so the background is basically that. They just tell you a little bit their skills and what they did up till now. That doesn't mean, though, you won't find your favorite operatives. Because of the Recruit Anyone system that Ubisoft has put into this, you can literally spend hours walking around finding the right person with the right job, with the right skills to fit your team that you want to make it as individual and yours as you can possibly want. I had a Jamaican spy called Arthur who could summon a James Bond car, kitted with a cloaking skin and missiles, heat-seeking missiles. I also had an old lady who was a retired car thief. Now, she couldn't run or sprint very well, but she came pre-ready with a revolver and a grenade launcher, which, if you have an old lady just walking down the street killing people with a grenade launcher, is pretty dope. Not many games let you do that. But I also had an awesome Cockney PMC officer from the invading PMC. Getting him in my team allowed me to walk in and out of areas unchecked by security, basically, which was a really cool thing, again, for them to put in. However, this game... So, that's the best thing about the story, is putting together your hacktivist group and making each one feel good and unique to your story. However, I think I've pretty much talked about the only good thing about the story, because the rest of it is so boring. Okay, where do we start with the stuff that's good about the story? The villains are just so boring and predictable. Like, they put such a good world and then didn't put any depth into their villains, who had a lot of potential to be AI obsessed, millionaires to PMC generals. However, another bad point about their story is they bring up heaps of issues, from over-surveillance to white nationalism and even abuse of human rights. but it never really goes any deeper than that. It sort of says, these are the things that are going on, they're not great, go get back at the bad guys for them. With a game so heavily rooted in political strife, they never really make a political statement on all of these issues other than, it's kind of bad. With the one exception of the white nationalists, they basically just say that all white nationalists remind them of this guy.
Nothing cracks a turtle like Leon Uris. Ow! Dang it! Ow!
Which, to be fair, is it not? So, I mean, now let's talk about the end of the game. I won't talk about anything specific because I don't want to spoil it for anyone. However, when you finish this game, you'll be like, what a crappy ending. It just leaves you flat. Like, it doesn't go, ooh, I wonder what they're going to do in the next one. Where's the story going to go? None of that. Anyway, I spent a lot of time crapping all over the story. Let's talk gameplay. So, I know I've already talked about the profiling system, so I'll just run by that real quick. Long story short, you can have 45 people in your team. You can walk up to anyone in London and gain their favor by helping them in a certain situation or, stealing a car for them. But what's also cool is you might be walking down the street. There's someone you've tagged for a potential recruit. You see someone getting harassed with a little symbol next to their name that says Sister of Operative. So then you go up, you stop the harassment, the people will get in contact with you, thank you, then join your team. It's really great how each NPC comes with their own routines, friends, and family that you can look at by just profiling any single one of these characters. So the overall structure of this gameplay structure is pretty much the same of any other Ubisoft open world game. Run to the bad guy's place, take out all the bad guys stealthily or with firepower, then steal something or hack something from them, run away. So if you've played a Ubisoft game, you get how this works. That's pretty much the whole game. Even the story missions, they had cool cutscenes, but then it's like go into enemy territory and hack this server. That's pretty much what the side missions are. Go into enemy territory, hack this server, steal this car, free this person. It gets a little repetitive, but some of the systems at play make it fun. I'll talk about that a little bit now. So the gunplay in this game, it's all that. It's, how do I put this? It's not as fun as, say, Uncharted, which is another third-person action game. However, it's not as fun as like Grand Theft Auto as well. There's none of that oomph that you get, another third-person open-world game. It gets the job done, though. I mean, there's some pretty cool moments where you might jam an enemy's gun, run up to him, take him down with a badass John Wick-style execution, then get an enemy remote turret, hack it, cover you so you can shoot a few people. I mean, that's cool, but it doesn't go, oh, that was really sick, like when you're ripping and tearing demons in Doom. Now, where I had a real issue with the gameplay in Watchdogs Legion was cars. This is just such a little gripe that I have to go over, but they were so crazy. The touchiest and craziest driving I've experienced for a while in a game like this. You would turn left slightly and your car would just hard left turn, hard right turn, which might not sound too bad till you find a cool recruit walking along the road and you find out you may need to do an extra recruitment mission because when your car spun out, you knocked over their uncle or hit their lawyer, so then you have to make them forgive you for that. I think it's best described by Zap here.
She's built like a steakhouse, but she handles like a bistro.
So it's really good, though, the city, at least, that it's a densely populated London city with lots of feeling to it. You want to do stuff in it. It's really well realized. I will give that to the developers. However, some of the side stuff is pretty fun as well. Like there's underground boxing rings you can go around to recruit people. There's just side missions to help hacktivist groups to grow in notoriety so that they can access more people and help more people. There's also to gain money driving around London on a moped courier system, which, I mean, it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun to do. Now, I said all the good stuff just there about it, but now I really want to talk about something that I had serious issue with in this game. And that's going to be the performance and monetization. Okay, I think it's important to discuss this because I had the game crash on my PS4 within the first 10 minutes. I also had quest markers randomly change locations all the time, as well as annoying little things like bulk frame rate drops and stutters, as well as teleporting enemies, sometimes the inability to get into a car in front of me. Now, the main reason I want to talk about these bugs is because recently CD Projekt Red delayed Cyberpunk again. We were all devastated. But they did it to make sure it was the best project that they could give you, considering you've just spent a whole bunch of money on a game. And then all of a sudden, neckbeards and the internet started screaming bloody murder. However, if this game had been delayed another few weeks, it would have been probably a lot more polished than this. I mean, by the time I installed this game, it had 4 patches to install along with it to fix problems. And I also had heaps of other problems, even though those patches were fixed. Just to give you some idea, Ghost of Tsushima, which came out recently on PS4, took months to get its first 4 patches in the game that was very, very slim on bugs. And that 4th patch added a free multiplayer game to the side, Ghost of Tsushima Legends. Sucker Punch Productions is a lot smaller than the conglomerate that is Ubisoft, so it really makes me wonder, other than owing their investors because they promised one date to them, does this go any further than we want to make money because we promised our investors this? Which brings me on to the next thing about this that pisses me off. The base version of this game is $90 in Australia, a little bit cheap if you get it from JB Hi-Fi or something like that. But on the PlayStation, it's $90. There's the deluxe version, which comes with the season pass, which is $150. So this is a predominantly single-player game with a multiplayer mode promised to launch down the line. But I have to question if this is what was going through their head when they decided to put monetization in this game.
Boy, everyone is stupid except me.
Because the developers chose to put the coolest operatives and clothing behind paywall in a cash shop. It makes no sense to me. Beyond pure greed, this is a full-price game. It shows a greater problem with Ubisoft's core philosophy that they promised to address yet haven't. And that is making games grindier on purpose so that people will feel the need to spend money in their cash shop. If you have monetization in the game, that's all right, but you need to find out a balance. Also, if you're offering a full-price game with no multiplayer that's currently out, you shouldn't be monetizing anything. It's just ridiculous. I know this isn't on the personal developers. I'm sure it was a mandate from Ubisoft up top, but still, it was a full-price game, which is where I have most of the problem with it. And I thought they said they'd learned stuff from Ghost Recon, which if you just Google Ghost Recon and see how people responded to that game if you don't know. And what gives me pause is the new Assassin's Creed game coming out on Tuesday, and they said they would address these things, but I'm not quite sure they've had enough time to take the grindiness and monetization out of the game. So I know I've been pretty hard on this game, to be honest. I've been crapped on the story. I crapped on a lot of bugs and monetization. But let me talk about bugs. It's not Fallout 76 bugs. It's just annoying. And the ridiculous monetization. But I did have fun with this game. Running around a beautifully realized, densely populated, futuristic London, recruiting people into my whole hacker oddball organization to rise up against the man just felt really cool. It's a cool sim experience sort of game with a bit of action mixed in. So I don't know. Think believe in scoring games particularly, but if I had to score this game, I'd probably give it 7 Edward Snowdens out of 10. So that's Watchdogs Legion. Definitely worth a go. Remember to like and subscribe so your phone can harass you about my presence. I shall catch you later.